And a similar question is, if a company's traffic did get hit heavily because of the COVID-19 outbreak, what would you suggest those companies focus on in terms of their SEO efforts? If they have the budget, if they're willing to go all in, what's the next 3 months of SEO budget that they should be focused on?
Yeah, I think this is context too, and definitely anybody jump into if you have any thoughts here. But if you're not involved in anything related to the COVID-19 crisis, um, either one, you can company-wide find a way to be involved. There are a lot of companies out there that have done really great things in terms of their manufacturing. For instance, like Christian Siriano, who's a fashion designer, has his designers working from home making masks or something. And that's in some ways a great way to help out with the cause, and in other ways, like a good PR move because you're not really doing anything that's as effective with that use of everyone's time. The other play here is to, if you're not going to do that or you're not able to, really focus in on your site, things that need to be done, keep with a prioritized list, and try to do any sort of cleanup initiatives that you can do. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, those are great points. I also think that search behaviors are going to change drastically. Like the last 2 weeks aren't necessarily indicative of what we're going to see over the next like 6 months, for example. So people being at home more often is already changing their behavior in terms of what they're searching for, how they're searching. We have a couple publisher clients where they're seeing really big increases, even though their content has virtually nothing to do with coronavirus in general or health epidemics or anything like that. But just because people are searching in different ways. So like natural medicine is an example, or like DIY products are seeing really big changes in demand where people are like, can I make hand sanitizer from home? Or can I make natural cleaning products? Or like spending more times with their pets or with their kids. So I think there's going to be some ways to tap into like changes in search behavior. So maybe thinking about like what your product or service can do in the next few months, just given how people's behaviors are going to change.
I love that.
Yeah, maybe Pedro, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but have any of your clients like cut any budgets because of this, or?
Some they haven't cut any budgets. Some have reduced budgets. We have a client in the sports vertical, and since there are no sports events happening, and many sports stores closed down shop, so they decided like, okay, we are going to just pause because there is no interest in us, and that's the point. Is like, if there is no interest whatsoever in your vertical, I mean, the best you can do is look inside and try to reorganize your company and and help your customers in the best way you can. There's no way to make business when there is no demand. We can look ahead and envision a suppressed demand down the road, because there's going to be a suppressed demand for many things that we are not selling at the moment. We have to envision what's going to come ahead. People are wanting to make up for what they didn't do for the 3 months that they have been at home. So you have to account for that, and that's a good exercise. Maybe prepare yourself for that. Maybe help do some more peer helping rather than look for business opportunities when in those verticals there is no interest at the moment, unless you are selling alcohol gel or masks or whatever. There is no interest in your vertical.
Yeah, and I know, Alexis, you posted like a chart showing the click growth rate from March 10th to, I guess, just a couple of days ago, and which categories of, I guess, industries have been impacted either in a positive way or a negative way. Do you want to, I guess you should share it since you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know the best way to go through this without like a visual, but maybe we can, do you want to screen share? Can I do that?
Probably. Yeah, try it.
And let me throw this into like a Word doc, because I think that would be a little bit easier. Yeah, so looking at the traffic, when looking at the spikes in terms of clicks coming from GSC, represent Daniel, one of the things that we noticed was that the spike in traffic for at least a lot of our clients started around the 10th. of March in the US, which is about the time that Trump had his first address. Right, ready to share screens. So we took that up until the day that we had, which was up until the 21st. And we looked at the growth rate year over year. And just let me know if you guys can see this. Hopefully you can't see my full screen.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So went through the data and pulled in some different metrics that I thought was interesting for everyone. And thank goodness we can screen share because I feel like it would be hard to go through this. But as you can see, there's a lot of variety here in terms of what businesses are growing and which ones are falling. So you can see with things that are very essential to people surviving in a work from home type world, like groceries, they're seeing massive lifts in those performance for those about 11 days year over year, significant. Large pharmaceuticals as well, significant growth around 175.6%. Online messaging too. So things where people are, I guess, going back to some of the things that we mentioned earlier about days blurring together and people working more, like productivity tool. We have a productivity tool client whose traffic is up almost 150%. So kind of interesting. And then I also thought this was kind of cool too. So insurance was slightly up. A lot of this, when I looked into it, was related to brand. So maybe with uncertainty, being around your families more often, people are thinking about that type of thing. When we look at other industries who maybe are less essential and for people being stuck at home and in self-quarantine, like hotels, novelty retailers, theme parks, online discount for local activities, very typical mall retailers for clothes and goods, we're seeing some decreases in the traffic that's coming to their website. What's actually super interesting though, is that if we look at the decrease to clicks for this hotel conglomerate, it actually turns out that bookings are 1/10 of what they usually are per day. So, the impact to the business is a lot more substantial than I think the clicks would let us see. So making sure that when you check your metrics, you're looking at the bottom line as much as possible is important. But and we also have a hospital which is up 6%, and right now about 3% of its traffic is related to coronavirus. So kind of interesting, just some thoughts. And you can see that when we mentioned earlier that there's a lot of fluctuation and that we say that not every company is going to be having the same challenges. Like this is why, because people need different things at different times. And right now people need things to help them in self-quarantine.